So 3 days ago, I'm interviewing David Dorian Ross for my site, nomoreholdingback.com. And it was a fantastic interview. I had a great time doing it. I've been doing a lot of Tai Chi lately, so it was a real treat to have the guy who is my mentor in that art have the opportunity to have a conversation with him. And he said something that was fascinating, and it's the reason why I'm talking with you right now. I don't care if you do Tai Chi, I don't care if you do martial arts, I don't care if you do anything. I do care that you are striving to do something that looks like it's something that's outside your comfort zone. David Dorian is a 7-time national Tai Chi champion, and he is also the only non-Asian to win a medal in the World Games. Now that's fascinating stuff. He's a world-class athlete. During the course of the interview, what he said to me was when he was a kid, his mom would write him notes. Please excuse David Dorian from PE. He has to go to the library. He was a total non-athlete. I believe the word he used was geek. He might have said spaz, geek, one of those amazing words that we used to describe themselves. So it's not as if you would look at him and you would see somebody who was destined to become a world-class athlete. He didn't see himself as that thing, and that was fascinating. The part that got me is when he was talking about me specifically, and he said, I forget what the exact words were, but something to the effect of, a gentleman like you who was always an athlete growing up, who always identified himself as an athlete. And I went, whoa. Chris, there's a kid named Chris, and I won't say his last name, but Chris and I were always the last two to get picked for kickball. And we were always the last two to get picked for dodgeball. And I loved baseball growing up, but I would sit out of the baseball games because I was afraid to look like a bad athlete. And when it came time to Little League, I was the kid who was afraid to swing the bat. Now, when it turned out that I could throw a ball pretty quickly, things started to change. I became a pitcher. And then in 7th grade, when I figured out that I was halfway decent, not all the way, but halfway decent at getting the ball in the basket, I started to see myself differently. But what fascinated me is that this world-class champion athlete looked at me as this almost 50-year-old guy and said, you are one of these gentlemen who had always been comfortable as an athlete. No, I wasn't. It's something I had to reinvent to myself. And if you know my story, a big part of it happened when I was 20 years old, and I learned how to juggle, and that was a big part of the way I started to see myself differently. And it hasn't happened all the way. There are things that have happened over time that have challenged that self-perception. I don't care about any of that. We all are responsible for how we see ourselves. The thing I want you to understand is that where you are right now is not where you have to stay. You may be trying to do something. You may be trying to be a speaker. You may be trying to be an internet marketer. You may be trying to be a better something or other. Something fascinating has happened. I want to show you something. I just had a visitor. Say hello, Susie. Down you go. This is live TV, folks. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think of yourself. I don't care what your self-image is right now. I do care that you have the ability to see yourself as different than you do right this minute, because it can happen. A world-class athlete had it happen to him. I'll call myself a world-class trainer had it happened to him. I don't have any special genetics. Neither did David Dorian. Neither do you. Find what you want to do. Let the process work for you, and watch the miracles unfold.